Pro-lifers call on President Donald Trump to appoint a new director for the National Institutes of Health. Francis Collins is the current NIH director. He was appointed by former President Barack Obama in 2009 after working on his campaign. Collins supports human cloning and embryonic stem cell research. The NIH is the nation's medical research agency. We're joined now by Dr. David Prentice, the Vice President and Research Director for the Charlotte Lozier Institute, the pro-life research wing of the Susan B. Anthony List. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Now, you released an op-ed on this very issue. Why do you think Dr. Francis Collins needs to be replaced?
Well, Dr. Collins is a charming fellow, but he's a holdover from the last administration. And let's face it, leftover personnel leave stale policy. President Trump has stellar pro-life credentials. Francis Collins is definitely not pro-life. He's in favor of embryo-destructive research, human cloning, and destroying those embryos, embryonic stem cell research, again, involving embryo destruction. The president needs his own man or woman as director of NIH.
We're a few months into this administration. What have you made of President Trump's pro-life appointments so far? I know there's been recent news on that.
Well, we're talking about HHS, so let's start with Dr. Tom Price, Secretary of HHS. You couldn't have a person with better stellar credentials than Dr. Price. Recently, Dr. Charmaine Yost and Teresa Manning. Dr. Yost in public affairs, Teresa Manning in population affairs. And these are women who have devoted their lives to comprehensive women's health care, to the protection of families, of children, and the dignity of human life. So we're very impressed with these appointments.
I recently had the chance to speak with Congressman Andy Harris. He is Catholic, he is a medical doctor, he used to work in the NIH. I asked him what kind of research he would like to see. Let's take a listen.
I'm a very firm advocate that we should go just like we aimed for the moon in the 1960s. What we ought to do is we ought to aim for an Alzheimer's cure, and we ought to aim for it as soon as possible. So I think we should enhance funding to think big about problems like Alzheimer's disease that are huge health issues, huge budget issues, and besides the monetary cost, diseases like that have a tremendous cost on society, on families.
So what do you think about that answer? Do you agree?
I agree with Dr. Harris. I mean, it is the National Institutes of Health, and we should focus on the patients first.
You know, we're talking about the NIH, you know, throughout this discussion. Can you give us a perspective? What does the NIH do? Why is it so important in advancing the culture of life?
Right, and the NIH funds research and does research regarding life, regarding health. And it includes both basic laboratory research on just basic biological principles, cells and tissues and organs, but also clinical research to translate those discoveries into the clinic to help patients. And this is why it's so important. It sets the agenda in terms of what is important in life.
Dr. David Prentice of the Charlotte Lozier Institute, thank you again for being here.
Thank you.